So, does money buy happiness? And I have an example. So, this morning I was walking with my children through town, and there was this bakery, and in the window of that bakery there were these meringues.
Mm-hmm.
There were pink ones, and there were yellow ones, and there were light brown ones.
Mm-hmm.
And they were huge, and they looked so tasty. So obviously we all wanted meringues right there and then, and we bought them. But as I was buying them, I suddenly realized I don't have my card with me. It was resolved because I did have some cash. But anyway, so we almost ended up with no meringues. And then we were sitting under a tree and eating meringues, and we were so happy. So this, I guess, would be the case where I would say, yes, money can buy happiness. So that is my example, but I don't think I agree with this premise in general. So what are your opinions about that?
I think that there's certain things. For example, you can't go into a shop and you can't say, look, I'm really spiritual, so can we just put the meal deal on my spiritual account, right? So in that sense, money does have value in terms of we need it to purchase things. But if we try and if we say that money is the only entity that can purchase happiness, then to me, clearly the answer would be no. But I think it's maybe part of the equation. So for example, if I go to Jamaica and I have a great experience in Jamaica, the happiness hasn't brought me the great experience in Jamaica. It hasn't done that. But I've had to get on a plane to get to Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, even though happiness hasn't brought me the experience that has made it good or bad, I've needed money to either pay for the plane, to pay for the hotel, and therefore I think happiness is in most cases part, or money is most cases a part of the happiness transaction, but it's not the full part of it. And I want to give another example where money doesn't buy happiness, and this is what's called the lifestyle creep. And the lifestyle creep, to me, one may ask, what is the lifestyle creep? Well, the lifestyle creep is typically when someone gets a promotion. So let's say John gets a promotion in his job, and he was on 25 grand a year and now he's on 30 grand a year. Now the problem with that is that what may happen to John is that he gets a better TV, he gets a better car, maybe he stays at a nicer hotel, but after that, that's it. And therefore you have this lifestyle creep, but that lifestyle creep hasn't necessarily led to a better life, because once you get a bigger TV, you just get used to it, in my experience.
Yes,
anyway.
Which is funny, because if you would give those 5,000 to someone who has 5,000 already,
Yeah.
and then you add those, that person's life probably will be much happier, because they will use it in a different way.
Well, this is the thing, it's the lifestyle creep in relation to what the context is. So in the context, I think it was Jack, we've just got a better TV, we've got a better car, but then the argument is, has that really improved his life? And again, that's subjective to Jack's belief system and how much he values the TV and how much he values the car. But then if you have someone who is struggling to put food on the table, and then that additional 5 grand can ensure that food is on the table and can cover food, clothing and shelter, then I guess maybe you have a greater argument.
Yeah. What's your opinion?
Listening to you both discussing happiness in this context kind of begs to ask a first question: what is happiness? And can it be actually related or correlated with money or wealth? Is it happiness, or maybe it's convenience? Is it happiness, or maybe it's necessity and wealth? And in this relationship, I think what I want to think about is the capital, the initial capital of what you have or what you don't have. Whether this money or this wealth adds to it, or in some cases takes it away, or doesn't add anything at all. Because the difference is very marginal between, as you said, somebody having a £25,000 salary or £35,000 salary. So does it really make a difference? And does it bring the happiness? Or maybe it provides you an opportunity to explore things and have happy moments with other people. What do you do with that money? Maybe that's what's important. And how do you spend that money?
Yeah.
Whether you spend it on yourself, or do you spend it on other people? Do you spend it to facilitate or provide for other people? And do you need that money? And is it really linked to happiness?
I think another thing as well is that, for example, and one has to make up the conclusion whether this premise is true, but if you have like a wealthy family and then you have children that are particularly wealthy, you could argue that the money could actually compromise their ability to be self-reliant. So when we talk about money and happiness, it primarily needs to look at the context, because if someone is brought up in a rich environment and then they don't have self-reliance, and that environment has not allowed them to evolve because they haven't needed to evolve, then in one sense you could make a logical argument that the money is holding them back. Now, I don't have any stats on this, but if you look at lottery winners, you look at a lot of people that win the lottery, they lose that money. So when I say a lot, there are significant stories about people winning the lottery and then losing it all. So if you was to ask them, does money bring happiness? One again would assume that maybe they would surprisingly say no, because with more happiness can come more responsibility, and inevitably can lead to more problems. Also, if you have a lot of money, there may be a question of, is it harder to know whether your friends are legitimate or not? Are they your friends because they know you've got a lot of money, or are they your genuine friends? So I think the matrix of money, I think money is in a capitalist society, money is very complicated. I think there has been some studies done on it, and to my understanding, the study that I was made aware of was that at 70 grand, money can provide an element of happiness, because it gives you that ability. It's 70 grand a year, I'm assuming within the British context. So that gives you that flexibility to go on those holidays, to be able to have passions and hobbies and things of that nature. And in that context, it's beneficial. But when you go above that 70,000 threshold, then I think there becomes some issues there, in terms of it doesn't necessarily correlate that the more money means that you have more happiness.
I mean, there is an example. You can buy a luxury holiday, win a lottery, go to a luxury spot, live in a luxury, hotel, but somewhere inside, something happened, not money related in your life. Let's say relationship breakup, somebody has passed away, or I don't know, you fell out with your friends, or didn't get the grades that you wanted in university. Does this money buy you happiness in this context?
Not at all.
Does this amazing hotel, make you feel fulfilled, make you feel appreciated, make you feel accepted, make you feel part of something? You probably feel more lonelier being there with all that money Than if you didn't have that money and have those friends. We got that saying, I think it comes from Russian though. It's better to have 100 friends than 100 pounds.
Mm-hmm. But when I was in my 20s, do you remember you had to pay for every phone conversation? You were paying per minute. So and at that time I was living abroad, and my biggest expense for those 3 years were on phone calls, and I remember that I couldn't have thought of a better way to invest that money than keeping in touch with my friends, because that was the most important thing. Because while you have your friends in your 20s, before you have your family and children, that is the most important thing, to keep that happiness